So I have been studying Chinese metaphysics since 2001. I started on my own, but I grew up in a culture where my father was the caretaker of one of the oldest Chinese temples, Taoist temples in Marysville, California. And so that gave me the background to eventually evolve to this, and I came to this after a very, very tough period in my life. And work and everything was going badly, and I said, there must be something else to life, and so that's how I came to it. And Pamela's going to introduce herself when we get to, she's going to speak in a moment. But what I would like to do is first check in, how many people know or have studied Qi Jia? Okay, all right. So we're going to speak at a different level to hopefully to the audience so you can understand it. If we are going too far in one way, you just let us know, okay? So the first thing I wanted to do was, are you going to run this one, Pam, or should I?
Yes, we'll just let whoever's got the control. Okay. Push that right there. Okay.
So Qi Jia, the actual literal translation is Qi means mysterious. Men means the gate or the door, and Dun means to make something hidden. And the final word, Jia, is known to be the celestial stem which represents all of the stems. It's the leader of the stems. Jia is key because the Jia is seen as the general, the commander, that which protects the leader within Qi Jia. The door is key because the door is all your actions. And this was, Qi Jia started as a military study or system to protect those who were in the leadership of the imperial court. So it started that way. In modern day, we have adapted Qi Jia to the kind of culture that we live within today. And this means that the academy we study with is Master Academy, has broken down the Qi Jia to 6 methods. And they are, so there are 6 methods, and we're going to focus on Feng Shui today because we've got 30 minutes sort of. The 6 are right here. Destiny is very similar to Batsu in the sense that it gives you a Qi map of your life and your destiny. The advantage of Qi Jia, which Batsu doesn't have, is it gives you a sense of your spiritual self. It gives you actually even things about your karma, about your soul palace, and about what are your spiritual influences from the universe. And this is not something that you would typically see in Batsu. The spiritual is one of our favorites, and Pam's going to talk a little bit about that. But spiritual basically is using the deity level within Qi Jia, and the deity level is the universal level that is unseen. All of us have thoughts, and the thoughts come from somewhere, and our actions are derived from our thoughts. But where do those thoughts come from? And where they come from in the understanding of Qi Jia, that it comes from somewhere down there in the universe, and each of us has a deity that we're guided by, and we're going to tell you what they are. So we are actually having a workshop tomorrow on the destiny part. If you want to know about your own destiny and about your own deity that guides your universal self, go on ChineseMetasoft.com tonight and print out your chart and bring it to our workshop tomorrow, and we're actually going to analyze some of the charts. We are looking for a volunteer or 2. If you don't mind us discussing your chart, you can give that to us, your birth chart, and we'll integrate it into the talk tomorrow. And Christoph has allowed everyone in this conference to be able to print your chart out for free. You've got access to the software for a week. Okay? So spiritual, that part the most interesting part about it is understanding your deity. I didn't understand a lot of why miracles happen in my life in these life-changing, life and death situations until I learned Chimendinja, and I found out I was 9 heavens. And 9 heavens is guided by vision, and 9 heavens is also guided and protected by angels. People who are chief also have somebody who's always with them. Knowing that level is to have the knowledge to change your life. Because there's the part about the spiritual is your ability to call in that deity or whatever that universal spirit is. So I can call on my angels, and now I actually really do it. I say, come, I need you, and here's what I need you to do. And I am 9 heavens, but I have a snake is one of the deities, a surging snake, and mine is at a level 6. And people who have snake deity are great at Feng Shui, and many Feng Shui people who come to Feng Shui are snake deity or the chief deity. They seem to be the most dominant deity that comes to learn Feng Shui. And even though I am not surging snake, I'm level 6. And as you can see, the surging snake is connected to the environment. They can read the Feng Shui, they can read the environment. Sometimes they don't even have to go to a course. They can walk into a house and they know what to do because they can read the environment. So, my surging snake, I brought you California weather. You like that? So the other ones is forecasting. Forecasting actually was about 90% of Chimendinja. You can forecast any life question you want. Like, should I take this job or this job? If I take this job, what will happen? I have 2 boyfriends I'm trying to look at who to marry. Which one is the better one to marry? I want to buy a house. Is this house good for me financially? Is this house good for me for my health, for my love life? So forecasting allows you to pretty much answer any question that you have coming, very much like the I Ching. The only difference in our forecasting and Qi Min is that the chart tells you there's an answer to your problem. And we are taught to find that solution, and we call it the solution palace, so we can say, according to this chart, your solution, if you want to change a scenario, you change this one thing, you change one thing, the entire scenario changes. So that's the value of forecasting. Strategy is about, you're running a campaign. And I had this client who was running for the head of the dental clinic, dental society in entire country. You can tell them what the other side is doing and what is the strength or weakness in your chart and who's actually going to win or lose. And you can tell the person, you want to win, here's what you need to do. So I saw this chart and I said, you're not going to win. But he was absolutely 100% confident he was going to win. I said, well, I'm just telling you what I see in the chart. This is a weakness and this is what you need to do, and you need to check these things. Well, he didn't do it and he lost the election. And this was for the entire country. And this is one of the huge countries in the world. So what strategy does is allows you to figure out when you're in a competitive situation, how to get the job over Pamela or over anybody else or against me. It tells you how to win a fight, like Apple against Microsoft, what you can do. The Feng Shui, rather than explain it, we're going to actually walk through some cases for you. The final thing is the Sun Tzu's Art of War, which typically people believe that Chimendinja is about fighting in war, but actually it is one of the many aspects. And the way Art of War works in today's world is Pamela and I use it a lot on business people, with business people. They get in these conflicts and they get in these highly, extremely competitive situations. And what it does is it sets them up to win. If she was representing Microsoft and I'm representing Apple, we would come up with a strategy that puts us at our advantage. The only disadvantage would be if we're both using it. So if you have it and the other person does not, you can actually look at the chart and it tells you the actual literal strategy that that person is using and how, at what step, the timing and all of that. Imagine the advantage of that to any business person. You come in and you tell them this is what your opponent's doing, and then there's a solution box inside the chart, and you can tell them here are your options. So this is the value of the Art of War. So there are 6 ways that we use Feng Shui. One is on the Yang House Feng Shui. That is the Feng Shui for the living. And I am not going to run by each one of them because we have cases that show you how it's actually done. Because I feel if in a 40-minute session we cannot give you the information that you can go home and do it based upon that kind of information. So the house selection, let me make sure I don't miss this point. So in the Yang House Feng Shui, the snake deity is key because this is a person who can read the environment. So the snake deity normally in forecasting has a very negative connotation, but in Feng Shui, it is the one you chase to help you find the house. So in the chart, there are different points of references. So we have to learn what those points of references are, and we'll show you what some of those are. In house selection, we've had people who come and say either, should I buy this house? Is it a good investment for me? Or which of the 3 houses should I buy? So what Chi Min does is tells you which house is the good one for investment, which is the good one for relationships, which one is the good one for health. So people buy homes for different reasons, right? So that's the house selection one. For house hunting, let's say I want to buy a house. I know I've had people come to us. I want to buy a house. Where do I buy a house? You can pull up the chart and you can look at 2 things. You can look at the snake, which tells you where the good property is, or you can look at what we call the harm door. And the harm door is about searching, hunting. And so the one that's better, you tell that person which way to travel to look for the house. And the other one is how far. It tells you how far, how many miles or how many kilometers to go. The property investment, this one's about, we have a case on this. It's like, is this a good value or not? Capital gains. Can I make my money back and when? The land assessment is for empty lots. So you can tell the value of an empty lot if it's going to be a good investment for the client or yourself. The final one is Yin House Feng Shui. This is about burials. So this is about finding a good place to bury someone. And if you know landform Feng Shui, you can do all of this. This is the shortcut. The advantage of Chi Min Dun Jia is the chart tells you everything. You don't have to go to 5 years of studying Feng Shui to understand where to go to find a home. Okay, so Pam?
Yes. I think it's just easier to use this. You know, you get to turn these. The main thing we've come here today is to show you about remote viewing. And remote viewing is when you can, before you go see the house, before you actually arrive there, you can look at the time you're going to arrive and see what the story is about this house before you even arrive. And we have actually a situation that I am going to show you in a minute that I did, but it was given to us in a lesson that let us know that we don't have to actually be on site. So many clients that Pat and I have are over here in Europe. Some are on the other side of the United States, and we can help them using the remote viewing and a Chi Min chart and not even step up on the property. And it's been accurate every time. The main thing it's wanting to do is give you an insider's information to the property. The next chart, Pat. Now this is the very first time I used it, ever, in 2014. And I had studied with the Chi Min Feng Shui classes and came home and thought, okay, I'm gonna test this out on my first client. She was a new client. I'd never worked with her. I'd never been to her home. And she was having serious issues, but she wouldn't tell me what they were. She wanted to see if I was going to be accurate and right. So she said, I'm having some serious issues. It's a brand new home, and I was recommended by a friend that you really helped her, so will you come do a consult? So I used the time. I said, well, when what does it work for you to meet? Here's when I'm available. She said, I need to meet you on April 10th at 10 a.m. I said, okay. So I threw the chart for that time, because that is the time she asked me to meet with her. So ahead of time, I looked at the chart to see what was going on. Now, right now, all the definitions of each of the palaces, Pat can point in a second here of what I am seeing here. So I looked first to see, we always use the day stem as the person we're asking about. And in the Batsi chart, the 4 pillars, yin metal happens to be the day stem. So yin metal in this Chi-Min chart was in the southeast. It was on top of Wu Earth, Yang Earth, and the information that made me see something was nine heaven, which Pat lightly touched on, is the deity of the heavens. So it means something very tall, very high up in Feng Shui. So I thought, well, the problem might be somewhere up on the upper level if she has more than one level. She did. She had 3-level house. So I thought it's a problem that's high up, and it's up there high. And then yin metal in Chi-Min Feng Shui means something is hidden. It's something you're not going to see. It's going to be behind the wall or behind something hiding. You're not going to be able to see it. So the next thing I looked at was the hour stem. The hour stem is going to tell me what the problem is and where it is. So it's with yin water, Kui, and Kui happens to be in the northeast. So I thought, okay, we've got a situation here with the life door, which is one of the best doors when it comes to using Chi-Min Feng Shui. That means there's some money involved here. But because this is a problem, that means maybe it's a very expensive problem to fix. It's going to cost more to fix it. Then when looking up the elements ahead of time, actually, because I knew nothing about her, the hour was telling me that it is a problem with something that is hidden. It is also a problem with something that is wet, because down below in the northeast, the client's outcome, it's yin water on top of yang water. So it's like ocean water and rain water. There's a water problem going on at this house, but I don't know what the problem is yet till I get there. So ahead of time I thought, okay, it's a water problem. It must be high up because it's with 9 heaven. So, and it's something they don't know about because the delusion door is about knowledge. So it's something they're not aware of. They have no clue where it's coming from. But it's the problem back in the hour tells me the problem is located in the northeast. So I'm like, okay, I'll look for that when I get there and see if it's in the northeast, wherever that is in their property. So I arrive, I get there that day, and I tell her, here is what I've discovered ahead of time. Then I get there and measure with my compass. The house faces east and sits west. I ask her, before you tell me the problem, let me tell you what I've found out ahead of time. It's something related with water. It's a water issue of some kind, and it's a lot of water. It's a big problem, but it's hidden. It's somehow hidden and you can't find where it is. Is that the problem, or can I ask, are you ready to share with me what the problem is now? Because the feng shui of the exterior looked fine. There was nothing that was shachi, nothing clashing using classical feng shui, all the measurements we did with the compass. So she said it's a health issue. We built this house. It was a big house, a farmhouse. They took the old house down that was 100 years old, and they used the foundation, but they built a whole new house just like it, identical, all the way up. It was beautiful, but an old presence to it, brand new. She goes, it was just finished, and we moved in. I'm gonna check the date again. They moved in the month of October of the year before I came, and she said within days, I was having trouble breathing. I was feeling sick. And her husband too, the two of them, their kids are grown, they were feeling sick all the time and getting respiratory problems and all kinds of lung-related problems. But it's a brand new home, and they used good paint, they used all the things you could use to make it work. Well, she said, then we found, after having several people come in to explore with different machinery, there was mold. And I said, stop. Knowing that your compass, your house faces east, the northeast is your living room. Was it upstairs in the room above the living room, or was it in the living room? And she said, oh my gosh. She said it was in the 3rd floor, their office. They ran a business. They had the entire 3rd floor was their office. The 3rd floor, it was found in the left corner. And I said, well, if you look closer, using the yin metal being hidden, I could actually look up the 2 stems of yin with wu and the delusion door. It tells me that the situation, because of those 2, is somehow hidden underground. It's unclean water, because Kui is unclean water. It's polluted, and it's wet, and it's somehow affecting the skin and the blood system. That's what that box, those informations together told us. And she said, yes, she said that's exactly what the doctors told me I was experiencing within the mold. So the builder, it cost him hundreds of thousands of dollars to fix this. They had to move out of the house, and she had me come in April. So April was southeast pillar is where the dragon and the snake are located. So that was the month of the dragon, and I went to visit her. So I said, let me go backwards. Let's look backwards here and see. So she moved out in the month of October, which was the west pillar is, yes, west pillar is October, is the dog. And in that pillar, there's gung, which happens to be, when you're using Qi Min, the #1 threat, the #1 problem area. And gung was right there. And I said, oh my goodness, that's when it shows that you would notify and see what the problem was. So she moved back in January, which would have been the northeast time, but the water's still there. My chart tells me that there's still some water problem from the day I came to see her. So I said, are you sure they got all the problem? Is it all completely gone? She goes, well, they said it was. And I said, well, the chart's telling me it's not gone yet. There's something still there and somewhere else in the house. So they actually went to the basement level, had more detectors done with machines after they moved back in, and found out there was still mold on the 3rd level in the northeast in the basement. The woman asked me, when does it show we can sell this house? So they actually did finally resolve it. The most important part is the life door in the northeast where the mold was. It cost this new young builder, he was a young, in his late 20s builder, building these big expensive houses. He lost a lot of money on this house. They did not, because it was his fault. What they found is there's attic vents in our homes. This style home had attic vents that on the 3rd level, little vents that went outside on the sides of the house. He sealed them. He did not open them as they should have been opened. And because it was sealed, the mold was just growing with the moisture that was inside of there, and it just continued to grow and grow and grow. The basement also had some ceiling problems, but it was all located in the northeast. So what the good part was, I said, well, it looks as if by June, oops, that's okay, one more, there. By June, the chief, if Pat can show you up top there, the chief is in the month of June. So it should be resolved, it should be taken care of by the month of June. And they did get a clean written report so they could sell the house, because it's a beautiful brand new home. And I found her an auspicious date, and she listed it, and they sold it. They moved out. She didn't want to deal with that anymore. So that was quite amazing how the first time ever I got to use it, it was very clear on precisely where the problem was based on the time I was going to see her. Pat?
Okay. I just wanted a few points.
Yeah, I just have a question. Your date there is when the house was finished?
No, this is the day that I went to see her in person, the first time. The connection, yes, the chart is always based on when you either get the phone call and someone says, I need to see you right now. In this case, the lady said to me, I need to see you, but I cannot see you until this date. So I used that date as the day and the time we were going to meet, which was, we agreed upon 10 a.m. So yes, it was pretty strong.
I just wanted to add a couple points. When you're doing Qi Min Feng Shui, the point of reference, you see there's many things in here, right? The point of reference for a house is the life door. The house is represented by the life door. So if somebody asks you about a house-related question, you look at the life door. In a house that somebody comes and asks you to evaluate or do Feng Shui, the key points of reference for looking for problems is gung and sin, which is yin metal and yang metal, because jia is wood, and this is a war. So the enemy are the metal. So that's gung and sin. This is why when Pam saw the sin here, with the asker, because that person asking the question is located here, then she knows that the enemy or the problem is with her. So she's already sick, basically. And 9 heavens, as we said earlier, is above and high. It's the person or the ability to see all of everything. So up high, whenever you see something that's a problem and you see 9 heavens, you know you've got to go high. So this is something that you would do if you were doing a Feng Shui evaluation of a house. The advantage of this is you can detect the problem before you can go there, and you can have clients from anywhere in the world and help them out in this way. Okay, so should we go to the next
Yeah,
case?
that's your case. Good gentleman.
Whoops, where do you go? Okay, so this is a case that a client called and emailed me and said, I want to know if this condominium is going to be a good investment. So that was the question. And when you go to look at an investment, there are the points of reference are the life door, which Pam, which happens to be in the northeast. So that tells me I go there to detect the value of the property, because that's one thing the person asked about. The other point of reference is the death door. The death door in Qimendunjia Feng Shui is the land without the property. So I can do an evaluation of the property from that door. And so now I know my two key points of reference are the southwest and the northeast. I've got to look at those two. And his question is investment. So an investment question, you look at Wu Earth, Yang Earth, because Yang Earth is connected to the Kun Gua. And the Kun Gua is about land and value and assets and wealth. And in Qimen Feng Shui, it's about capital gains. So I want to know, where is the capital gains in this chart? That's right here where Pam's pointing. Capital gains is with the house. That tells me immediately this house is worth a bucket load of money, or condominium. And the other thing, you look below, there's also Wu Earth there. So then I want to look at the death door. Is the land itself valuable? Because you could have a really pretty house, but the area you live in may not be so good, right? And I knew nothing about the house. I didn't even know where it was, the condominium, I mean. And so I looked here, and I could see that Chief is with the death door. And Chief is the #1 highest value of property that you can get. This is like imperial quality of wherever you're living, right? And so I knew the property was quite valuable, and the life door was valuable. So now, and I knew nothing about how much they paid for it, et cetera, et cetera. But the question was, is it going to increase in value? Well, this chart in particular is what we call a Fu Yin chart. It means everything in this chart is in its very home palace. And Fu Yin means when it's in its home palace, in a question about Feng Shui, nothing changes, right? Everything's home. We're all sitting here doing nothing because it's all the same. So I knew that, and my answer to the person was, this house is quite valuable, and so is the property, but immediately you are not going to be able to have value return on this house because the chart is Fu Yin and everything's stagnant, it's not going to move. So then he told me what this was. The next slide. It doesn't look that pleasing, but this is one of the most expensive property areas in an island. And this was a brand new development, and it was so costly that when it was purchased, its value was so high that you could not get a return on the investment for a few years. So the answer was correct. So the value of having something like this is you can tell people what's going to happen to them. But because I knew the land and the property were valuable, I knew that it would eventually be worth a lot of money. And can you go back one, Pam?
Mm-hmm.
Because the Chief, can you see this is a darker side, the right side, and the left side is lighter? Are you guys able to see that?
It's gray, like a light gray. These four.
Is it off? So this is called the external plate on the right, and the internal plate is on the left. So I knew that because the property is worth value, that it's going to be a long term, but you'll get your investment, your returns. Okay, the next one. So this is another consultation. This was somebody who had a house and called and said, I want you to come and do the Feng Shui in my house. And I want you to tell me, is there any energies in the house that are not helpful? And that's all she said. This immediately told me when somebody talks to you like this means they have a fear. This means that energies in the house, what does that mean? So some of this you have to use your common sense. I figured she's worried about spirits or something like that, right? So I said, okay, I'll look for the palace of the spirits. And when people ask questions like this, there are detections of if they're spirits. One of them is the snake deity, which we spoke about, which is in the east sector. And the other is the tortoise. Now the tortoise is over here on the right. And I went with snake first to see if there was actually something of importance. And what you see here, you see, if you, it's a little small, the two stems within this palace are Ding or yin fire, Sin or yin metal, and
Right,
Gui
yeah, real
or
tiny.
yin water.
Yeah.
And what happens in Feng Shui is that, I'm sorry, and the grain star is there. These are all related to, grain is related to assets. So you would look at that for the house also. So what this told me, but I'm now zeroing in not the value, not whether she should buy this house. I'm looking at, is there a spirit in this house? And so grain star is the star of ghost. So it is with the snake. Sin is the stem that comes with something buried. And in the extreme forms, it means buried there's been some criminal activity and somebody is buried somewhere close by. I didn't think this was the case because I knew the area, so I took it as a combination of the snake with the grain star, which represents ghost, and the sin, which is possibly some history of other things being there. I called her and I said, can I ask you a question? And yes. I said, did something happen in this house that was very unusual? Because you don't want to scare somebody and say, I see some ghosts in your house. So I said, was there something unusual? And she said, well, yes, there was. And I said, and what was that? She said, somebody died here, the past owner. So I said, okay, do you know how he died? And no. I said, can you ask the realtor how this person died? So I called up and she calls me back and she said, he died in his sleep and it was a peaceful, nothing violent or anything like that. So I said, and where did he die? She said, in the east bedroom, which this is the east room. So then in this house, the daughter was going to live in this house. And the only usable bedroom was the east. So now I know I have a problem, right? So I said, you know, are you open to, she has done enough study of Feng Shui and Qi Min. She knew sort of what was going on. She saw the chart and she said, I told her the chart confirms for me this. And she said, well, okay, and what do you recommend doing? I said, I think you need a clearing. And I know somebody who does those things, so I called a person and I said, would you help this lady? And I didn't tell her what it was. I said, she just wants you to look at her house and see if anything's there. If anything's there, if you can do something, great, because she can do those things. I cannot. I have a high-level snake, but I'm not a ghostbuster. But that's the value, actually, of Qi Min Jin Jia. The spiritual level, those who are ghostbusters actually take very well to this study. So anyway, she calls up the person, they have a consult, and the spiritual advisor saw that there was an entity in the house, and she said it was from the external. And I knew it was from the external because you see the gray side is this side, which is dark, which is the external, and the right side is the light side or the internal. So the spiritual advisor said this is something from the outside, but it is not the person who passed away. It is somebody from the 1930s or 40s. So anyway, she cleared the house, and then I said, after you clear the house, I'll come back and do another reading. That was one point. The second point was when I looked at the chart, because I threw the chart at the moment she called me and asked for a consult. And if you see in the West, it's Chinese characters, the death and emptiness. It's kind of light, but death and emptiness is in the west and the southwest of the house. And I knew I've got to look to see where the death and emptiness is, what that is about. So I arrive at the house, and guess what the facing of the house is? West. Guess where the door is? Southwest. So I then take my Lopan and I do a measurement, and the house sits on a death and emptiness line. So, but it wasn't the worst. And so what that told me then, I needed to tilt the door, tilt the gate, and alter the chi of the incoming chi. So that was my solution for that. Now some examples of, what time is it? I have to do a check-in.
11:39.
11:39?
Yeah.
Okay, then we should go. I'm going to skip some other stuff because we want to take some questions from you. We're going to do a little practice called forecasting about Feng Shui. So we're going to take some questions from you about if you have Feng Shui questions about where you're living in investment or the house you're living. So this is the hour chart?
Mm-hmm.
Is it hour chart of
Yes,
now?
right now.
Okay. So this is the hour chart of now. Yes, Gabriella.
I just want to know, because I'm thinking from a bathroom and things like that, I think I should move the house. I moved in this house that I'm now 3 years ago for purpose because the door was audience and I needed something for business, etc. I feel now that it's time to move the house. So can I ask?
You mean move out of the house?
Yes, out of the house to look for something different. Can I have the confirmation if my feelings are right to move the house this year?
Her question is, she bought a house last year?
No, 3 years.
3 years ago, and she wants to know, her gut is telling her she needs to get out. So does this chart tell her she needs to get out or not? So, we go to the life door.
Oh, sorry.
Where's the life door?
There we go. Push the wrong button.
Life door
Right here.
is in the southeast. So we know her house is located in the southeast. And what is the #1 enemy in Chimendinja? You guys remember? Gung.
Gung.
What is with the life door? You need to move. That's how simple it is. She needs to move. And she also has hook there. You see the hook? That means hook is going around a circle. So you've probably been going around and thinking about this 100 million, obsessing about it. Hook tends to be obsessive and keep looking at it from this angle. Should I not? So this tells me that that's what she's been doing. And you see the life door and the ambassador star. These are earth elements. The ambassador star is earth. The life door is earth. And this is a wood palace. And in the controlling elements, wood controls earth. So should she move from this story?
I think we'll have to finish now because we're
Can you
going
just tell me when also?
Yes.
Why don't you talk about it in the break?
Okay.
Oh, the break.
Because-
Oh, we're going to take a break. Okay.
Okay.
And then we're continuing with the new speaker.
Okay. We'll talk to you
Oh,
afterwards.
okay. Got it.
Okay.
We'll answer your question.
So thanks a lot.
Thank you.
If you need-